Thanks. And one thing, did we mention that we are recording? And if you don't want your face shown in the recording, then you can just turn your camera off.
Yes, I've just
Okay.
started recording now, so if you do
Okay.
want to do that, shut it.
Okay. All right. But I'd like to see everybody's faces, but you have the option to turn your cameras off. Um, thank you, Sim. Welcome tonight. My name is Jesse Crawford. I am the housing and marketing outreach coordinator for the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. I want to thank you for coming out to our first time homebuyer webinar series. We give these webinars every Tuesday and Thursdays all the way up until June 17th. We tried to touch each and every county throughout the state. I believe there's 21 counties in the state of New Jersey. So we're trying to get this information out there. We got a host of information to share tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the presentation. And I just need to share my screen here. And minimize this. There we go. And maximize this. Okay. Again, we're the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And tonight we're going to talk about maximizing first-time homebuyer opportunities with down payment assistance. A little bit about us. Our agency, known as NJHMFA, New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, we provide funding for affordable home ownership and housing opportunities to New Jersey residents. We are a state housing finance agency located in Trenton, New Jersey, and we respond to the needs of residents in New Jersey by implementing creative programs and establishing alliances that fund affordable mortgages for first-time home buyers. We do this through a network of approved lenders, and I'll talk about that a little bit further in the presentation. Some statistics: 54% of all home buyers, 33% of them are first-time home buyers between the age group of 25 and 34. And again, that makes up 54% of all home buyers. 71% of first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. Now, there's some roadblocks or major stumbling blocks to home ownership. And we're going to go through a few of those and point them out. And then also in my presentation, give you some solutions to get around these roadblocks. Studies show the leading barriers why renters do not purchase homes are the lack of down payment and closing costs. Qualifying for a mortgage is another issue. The amount of debt that they might have, job security, whether or not they're even ready to settle down in one place for a period of time. And what we're seeing across the state and across the country is not enough homes for sale, not enough inventory. So these are some of the stumbling blocks to home ownership. And this graph simply shows affording the down payment. 68% said that was one of the leading barriers for them. Qualifying for the mortgage, 53%. The amount of debt they may have is 50%, and job security rounding out at 39%. Nearly 9 in 10 low income renters said having the money for down payment was a major obstacle to home ownership for them. Okay. 72% of middle income renters indicated this same challenge. 62% of low income and 39% of middle income renters considered having funds as a major obstacle to home ownership. And the Federal Reserve says here that 53% of renters cited their inability to afford a down payment as the reason why they rent. And this is by far the most frequently cited explanation. Here's a snapshot of expenses that prevent buyers from being able to purchase or even save money for down payment for a home. 56% of first-time home buyers said student loans are a major obstacle. 34% credit card debt, car loan at 36%, child care expenses, and healthcare costs, all major issues that hinder folks from being able to save funds for down payment. Now, we have two foundational mortgage programs that we offer, and we combine those mortgages with our down payment program, which I'll speak about at the tail end of our presentation. But really quick, our foundational mortgage programs are the first time home buyer mortgage and our homeward bound mortgage program. They're both 30-year fixed rate government insured mortgages, and the interest rates for those mortgages are determined by our agency each and every day. The rates are determined by market conditions. We dictate what the rate is actually going to be, and we send those rates out to our lenders by 10 a.m. each and every business day. Today, currently, the interest rate for our first-time home buyer is 2.75%, and for the homeward bound, it's 3.25%. And I'll get into a little bit later the differences of these two programs and a lot of similarities, but there are some major differences. Now, the first-time home buyer, this mortgage program, here are the requirements. You must purchase and occupy a residential home in the state of New Jersey. You must qualify and meet all requirements for our agency's first mortgage, which is originated through one of our participating lenders. Borrower must be a first-time home buyer, as defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. And qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing. Continuing on with the first-time home buyer, the minimum FICO score for the program is 620 or higher, and the debt-to-income ratios for the first-time home buyer are 40% and 47%. Okay, meaning 40% on the front end, which is your mortgage payment, which includes your taxes and interest, and 47% on the back end is your mortgage payment and all that comes with that, and your monthly expenses or minimum payments that are being required on your credit, your credit statement. So all your minimum payments are added up with your monthly mortgage payment, and no more than 47% of that can be your gross monthly income is how it's calculated. Now, borrowers also are required to have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. And I'll talk about that in a little bit further down through the slides in detail. And borrowers must meet the household income limits. We do have income limits for each one of these programs. And I'm going to click on this particular slide to show you what the income limits look like. So, as you can see in this particular file, PDF, from Monmouth and Ocean County, 1 to 2 adults working in the household, maximum income is $109,400 for 1 to 2 adults working in the household. 3 or more adults in the household, maximum income is $125,810. And lastly, on this particular slide, borrower may not possess enough liquid assets to close the mortgage loan at 80% loan to value or less. Now, the Homeward Bound program, there's a lot of similarities, but some distinct differences, and I'll point those out to you. Again, you as the borrower must purchase and occupy a residential home in New Jersey. The borrower must meet all requirements for the mortgage through one of our participating lenders. You must be a first-time home buyer, as defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. Qualified veterans do not need to be a first-time home buyer, but must not own another primary residence at closing. So in effect, you could own a home as a qualified veteran now. You want to take advantage of our low interest rate mortgage and our down payment program. They would have to sell their prior residence to closing on their new residence. And the other the other thing about the Homeward Bound program, or benefit, I should say, is that there are higher debt to income ratios compared to the first time home buyer. As with the first time home buyer, minimum score it's the same, 620 or greater. But as you can see here at the top of this particular slide, the first time home buyer was 40% and 50% in terms of your debt to income ratios, the max. And you can see here the homeward bound is higher, 40% on the front and 50% on the back. So if you don't qualify for the homeward bound mortgage because your uh, debt to income ratios are too high, you could potentially qualify for the homeward bound, which allows for higher debt to income ratios. Again, borrower must have 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. And as with the first time home buyer, there are income limits for the homeward bound, and these income limits are slightly different. I'm going to show you what they look like. And as you can see here, Monmouth and Ocean County, the income limit for the household is $153, $160, which is much higher than the standard income limits. So if you don't qualify because your income is too high for the first time home buyer, or your debt is too high for the first time home buyer, you could potentially qualify for the homeward bound. Now, I want to talk about something really beneficial to folks who may be existing home buyers already. They're not first time home buyers, but they want to take advantage of some of the programs that we have to offer. Urban targeted areas are designated by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Each and every county has designated urban targeted areas. Now, the benefits to buying a home in an urban target area is that qualified veterans do not need to be first time home buyers, as with the first time home buyer, but must not own another primary residence. Also, existing homeowners do not need to be first time home buyers if they purchase in an urban targeted area. And as with the homeward bound, there are higher income limits permitted for purchasing in an urban targeted area, and higher purchase price limits. And again, you're someone who currently owns, you're looking to upgrade or downgrade depending on your situation. You want to take advantage of our low interest rate mortgage with our down payment. You can certainly do that by purchasing a home in an urban targeted area. Now, this link on this particular slide is what we call our site urban target area site evaluator. And I want to show you what this looks like. And it'll pop up here in a minute. Now, to determine whether or not the potential home that you're looking to purchase is in an urban targeted area, you simply have to type in the address in the search box and hit enter. And to the left, it will return the values and a color coded map to show you whether or not the property you're looking at potentially buying is in an urban targeted area. And if indeed it is, you as a first time, not a first time home buyer, but an existing home buyer who wants to take advantage of our program, you can certainly do that by purchasing that home in the urban targeted area. Now, there are income limits for the urban targeted areas. Let me show you what they look like compared to some of the others. And as you can see here from Monmouth County and Ocean, 1 to 2 family household, $131,280 is the maximum household income. 3+ family household, the maximum is $153,160. At the bottom of this slide, there's some additional resources I think could be beneficial to folks looking for additional down payment funds. You can couple with our down payment assistance other down payment resources you may receive from other entities, as long as those other entities will allow it. Downpaymentresources.com is a great resource to use to find potentially additional monies that help you with your down payment and your closing costs. It's a site that we don't own or manage, but we thought it was vital to include it in the presentation for folks looking for additional capital to help them with their purchase of their home. Also, if you need a copy of your credit report, annualcreditreport.com, you can get a free copy from all three credit bureaus once a year for free. Now, really quick, this is a snapshot of both programs. A lot of similarities with some distinct differences, as I said earlier. The first time home buyer and the homeward bound, both minimum credit score of 620 or higher. First time home buyer has lower income limits. The homeward bound program or mortgage program has higher income limits. First time home buyer has lower debt to income ratios. There are higher debt to income ratios for homeward bound. They're both 30-year fixed rate mortgages. First time home buyer has a lower interest rate. Right now it's 2.75. And the homeward bound has a slightly higher interest rate, which is 3.25%. Now, for both of these programs, the borrower is required to complete a HUD-approved credit counseling course. You can find a HUD-approved counseling agency at HUD.gov, and those courses can be taken online. And upon completion of your credit counseling course, you will receive a certificate. That certificate is good for 1 year. It expires in 1 year. A copy of that certificate has to be submitted with your closing package from your lender to our agency prior to you closing on your loan. So it's a major requirement. And the other great thing about both these programs, if you're looking to purchase a multifamily unit, you certainly can do that up to a 4-family unit, but you're going to have to occupy one of the units as your primary residence for 5 years. So if you want to buy a duplex, live in one side and rent the other out, that's fine, but you're going to have to live in one of those units as your primary residence for 5 years. These are the requirements for our programs, the documents that you would have to collect to be submitted to the lender with your closing package. 3 years signed federal tax returns or 3 years transcripts, 30 days of pay stubs, and 2 years of W-2s required for all adult household members. 2 months bank statements are required for all borrowers. And as I said earlier in one of the other slides, 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment. Now, those reserves can be in a personal account. It can be a gift from loved ones or family members, or it can be provided by way of a 401k statement or pension statement. And you do not need to withdraw those funds from those accounts. You just need to prove to have those funds available in case of an emergency. Agency loan proceeds, such as our down payment program, cannot be used to pay down or reduce any debt in order to qualify for the mortgage. And in some cases, borrowers can get money back at closing, upwards of $3,000 of funds paid out of pocket, such as your earnest money deposit, the appraisal fee, home inspection, pest inspection, or even the home buyer's course. Some additional certifications: if there's a well or septic, the certification for those are going to be needed. Wood destroying pest inspection certification is needed. As I said earlier, HUD approved credit counseling certification must be submitted by the lender for each borrower. And if the seller of the property is a business, then business formation docs are required. If the seller is an estate, a short certificate or death certificate is required. And if there's a power of attorney, approval is required for the buyer or seller for the loan to go to closing. Now, final approval at our agency, your file basically is underwritten completely by the lender. We don't underwrite the file at our agency at all. We just fund the down payment and provide the mortgage. Lenders submit the file to us initially 10 days before closing. Okay. And we will review that file to make sure everything is met, all the loan conditions are met. We typically review it in 5 days. Um, we have same day approvals if the entire file is intact and all loan conditions are met. If there is a need for something that's missing, then we will reach back out to the lender or the loan officer for resubmission of those items, and we will clear the file to close. The file will never be delayed by us if it's a complete file. Um, if the lender submits a full file and all the loan conditions, the file will be cleared ASAP and get you to closing. Now, this is the meat and potatoes of my presentation. I get happy at this part right here. I call this the free money section of my webinar here. Our agency has $10,000 to give you, the home buyer, towards down payment and your closing costs. That down payment of $10,000 is what we call a forgivable loan with no payments and no interest rate. It's a forgivable loan of $10,000 with no payments and no interest rate, zero interest rate. And it's a sub program that's coupled with our first mortgage. So you get the mortgage to one of our participating lenders. We give you the $10,000 to cover your down payment and your closing costs. And as long as you reside in the property after closing for 5 years as your primary residence without selling it, without refinancing or defaulting on the mortgage, the $10,000 is completely forgiven. And over the course of the 5 years, I want to reiterate, there are no payments and there's no interest rate. So all you have to do, live in your home comfortably, pay your mortgage, and after 5 years, that $10,000 is totally forgiven. And our down payment assistance is coupled with our FHA or VA or USDA mortgages, all government insured mortgages. The great news is that we will be providing conventional mortgages very, very soon, within the next few months. And that's going to be a greater opportunity for home buyers in the state of New Jersey. But as of right now, all our loans are government insured loans. Now, in the event that you decide that you want to move prior to the 5 year term, or you sell or refinance, you will have to pay the entire $10,000 back. It's not prorated over a period of time. If you decide you're going to move a month before the 5 year period is up, unfortunately, you're going to have to pay the $10,000 back. The other great thing about these programs, and it wasn't always offered, is that you now can utilize our mortgage and down payment assistance program to purchase new construction. Wasn't always this way. So it's a great opportunity for folks who are looking for new construction. You can take advantage of our down payment and our low interest rate mortgage to purchase that new property. And that property has to be in the state of New Jersey. You can be living outside the state of New Jersey, wanting to move to New Jersey, but once you purchase the property in New Jersey, it has to be your primary residence for 5 years. Also, if the seller of the property you're looking to purchase is willing to offer you a seller concession to help with your down payment and closing costs, you certainly can add those funds to our down payment assistance. Okay. And in some cases, you may not need to bring any money out of your own pocket at all, um, to closing. And really quick, I want to go over the eligible properties. I've been harping on this through the entire presentation. Property must be located in the state of New Jersey. It must be a single family home, can be a condo, townhome, manufactured home, even a mobile home that's on a fixed foundation. Can't be a mobile home with wheels on it. You can just wheel from one town to town. It has to be on a fixed foundation. And as I said earlier, you can purchase a multifamily dwelling up to 4 units as long as you occupy one of those units as your primary residence for a full 5 years. Here's the link for the HUD approved counseling agencies. All the links in this presentation will be either in the chat, or you'll get an email tomorrow with all these links, so you can take advantage of them and go to these sites at your leisure. Um, and before I wrap up, I want to touch over a couple things that a realtor should do for you. Okay. Now, a realtor is someone that you hire to help you find a home, your dream home. Okay. And it typically happens after you're pre-qualified for the mortgage. And these are the 9 things a real estate agent should do for you. A real estate agent helps you get approved. Okay. There's a pre-approval and there's a firm approval. You can utilize your pre-approval from any lender on our participating lender list, and that will allow you to start looking potentially for the home that you're looking to buy. It gives you a sense of how much money you're working with, how much you've qualified for, and now your realtor can work within those parameters to find the home in that price range. They'll help you actually work towards getting your final approval. And secondly, they're going to help you find that home, the home of your choice within the guidelines of what you can afford. And then they're there to help you negotiate the offer. A good realtor should be able to negotiate an offer, counter offer, and work on your behalf to benefit you. You should have a realtor that's working primarily for you, and not a realtor that's working for the seller and working for you. That's called a dual agent. You want a realtor that's going to primarily work for you. Okay. The realtor also going to help you with the home inspection. The realtor should be there and available to walk with you through the home inspection, because, 4, 6, 8 eyes are better than 2. Something that the inspector might miss, the realtor might pick up, or even you as a potential home buyer can point out. If you have a realtor who is not going to go to the home inspection with you, I'm telling you right now, find another realtor, because that realtor is supposed to help you every step of the way. And most do. I'm just, playing devil's advocate here, to let you know that that realtor should be with you every step of the way through the process. Fifth thing on my list, as I already said, I'm sorry, attend the home inspection. The sixth thing is negotiate any home inspection repairs. So if there's something that was found during the inspection, the realtor can work with all parties to negotiate a solution. It might be the seller has to repair those things prior to closing, or the seller decides to give a credit for those things and you can get repaired after closing. All right. And seventh on my list, communicate with the seller's agent and buyer's attorney throughout the sale. It's like a circus, and all parties are working together to work on your behalf to get you to closing. And what's important, number 8, what a realtor should do for you is keep their eyes on your loan commitment, monitoring your loan commitment. Once you receive a firm commitment from the lender, that commitment has an expiration date. And if you haven't moved towards closing yet, and that expiration date for your commitment is about to expire, your lender should, not your lender, but your realtor should be on top of it. Your lender should be on top of it also. All parties should be on top of it, so that if there an extension needs to be made, and that needs to be addressed with the attorney and title agency and all parties involved to get that commitment extended, so we don't lose any time or any issues to hinder you getting to closing. And finally, the realtor's there to finalize all loose ends and get you to closing, get you to sign your life away on hundreds of documents, but ultimately to hand you those keys to your home, and it will be worth it. That in a nutshell is what a realtor should typically do for you. We normally have a realtor on to explain those things, but I wanted to make sure I got that to you. And lastly, we have a wonderful guide. Okay. This guide is called our Road Home New Jersey Guide to Home Buying. Okay. This is a great resource for everyone on this webinar. It's a PDF file We also have this in a hard cover, soft cover, I should say, that we can mail out to folks if they like a copy of it. But it goes through the process from the beginning until you actually receive your keys, the home buying process. The cost of home ownership talks about home buying counseling, all the way through the home inspection, preparing for closing, and then what happens at closing. This is a great resource. It has links for mortgage calculators, uh, how to find a realtor, how to get approved for the mortgage, what actually happens before the offer, before you make the offer. Great resource for you to have. This link will be included in the chat and as an email to you later on tomorrow. I implore you to download it, keep it on your desktop or on your computer or on your phone. So if you have any questions, you can always flip to this guide and it can help you navigate through the process. The great thing about this guide is that there's a glossary of terms in the back. If you come across a term during this process that you're not familiar with and you need clarifications, just turn to the glossary, look it up, and it'll explain to you exactly what's going on and what that term means. So great, great resource. If there's anybody on the webinar today, excuse me, who is currently already pre-approved with a lender, but that lender is not one of our approved lenders, and you want to take advantage of our down payment assistance program, that lender can simply reach out to SF lenders at njhmfa.gov, and we can work with them to get on our list so you can take advantage of our down payment assistance and our mortgage program. Um, it doesn't take very long. It takes about a week for them to get signed up with us. And certainly you can take advantage of the resources we have available. If you are currently on this webinar and you're ready to start the process today or tomorrow, we can actually refer one of our lenders to you through our lender request form. I'm going to show you the screen here. This is on our website, nj.gov, under the find the lender tab. And basically you can fill out the lender request form by putting in your email, your name, phone number, the county you're looking to purchase in, whether or not you need down payment assistance, what type of meet you would like, whether it's face-to-face or over the phone or online, and the language you prefer. And we will return to you by email and by phone the name of one of our top lenders to contact you about our programs and get you started. Also, in addition, you don't have to wait for the lender to call you. You get the information from us, and if you feel you can feel free to reach out to the lender yourself or wait for them to contact you. Now, at the bottom of this page, if you do not wish to fill out the lender request form, we have a full list of our lenders. And you can certainly reach out to the lenders yourself and let them know that you want to apply for the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency's down payment assistance mortgage program. Okay. And they will then collect your information, pre-qualify you, and work with you to get you to closing with us. They understand how to underwrite our loans, what needs to be collected, and the entire process. So we have extensive training with these lenders each and every month to make sure they're up on everything that's going on from our perspective and any requirements that might change over the course of a period of time. So all the lenders are well versed on our programs. And that concludes my presentation. My contact information is here. Again, my name is Jesse Crawford and my email address is here. You can reach out to me at any time with any questions that you might have, or you can call me at the number listed on the screen. Email is the best way to get me. I will get back a lot quicker by email than I will by phone because, again, we're not in the office as of yet. but I will get back to you if you leave me a voicemail. It just not might not be the same day. Okay. And with that, I'm going to conclude my part of the presentation, and we can open it up for some questions.
Great, thanks,
Hi.
Jesse. Questions? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, hi, I'm Dorothy, and I have a question with regard to PMI, because I've
Mhm.
basically gone through the process. I think I'm with Fulton Bank, which is one of your lenders.
Mhm.
And with regard to the two types of the program, both of them have PMI, correct?
Yeah, for FHA loans, mortgage insurance is required for the life of the loan. That's a FHA requirement.
Yeah. And that would
And
be the same when you have the conventional loan, whenever that happens.
no, mortgage insurance will be required for a period of time, but not for the life of the loan.
Okay,
Typically, when you accrue about 20% equity in the property, then the
yes,
mortgage insurance is dropped.
that's with the conventional,
Yes. Mhm.
but with the FHA, it's the entire length of the loan.
Yeah, that's just an unfortunate thing with FHA. Yeah.
That's hard,
Yeah, I
especially
know.
when you're struggling and you're trying to get a house.
I know, but you got to understand the way FHA was designed more so because of the low down payments, the 3.5%. Um, and they want to make sure that the loan is insured in the case of of default. But typically, what folks do, they get in with FHA, and then after a certain period of time, then they refinance to a conventional mortgage.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
But we will be providing conventional mortgages. I'm so excited because it opens up a whole new ball game for people here, and you know everything's not for everybody. So
Right.
some folks conventional will work fine. For others, FHA would be just fine for now. And at a period of time, they can refinance into a conventional mortgage at a later time.
All right. And in terms, because I'm looking to try to get something in, Monmouth County, Mercer County, would I have to attend this also for Mercer County, or would it apply?
No. See what this tonight is informational.
Right, okay,
But you're going to have to actually um, attend. Well, you said you're already through the process with Fulton, right?
yes.
Have you received pre-purchase
I
counseling?
have a pre-approval.
Well, not the
Um,
pre-approval, but credit counseling.
No, I didn't do that.
So that's required. That's required. So
I didn't know.
you can go to HUD.gov
Mm-hmm.
and find a credit counseling agency in your local area. Most of them are done online right now because of COVID.
Right,
And it's not very difficult. It's a simple, maybe 2-3 hour course that you take, and upon completion of that course, you get your certificate. That certificate is required, a copy of, to be submitted with your loan closing package.
and do I have to pay for that?
Well, some agencies charge a small fee, others are free.
Okay,
Like consumer credit and budgeting,
mm-hmm.
theirs is free.
Okay,
You can find them on the web, or we can include that in the chat. The link, you can reach out to them, and everything's done online, and you'll get your certificate, and that's the requirement you've met for the program.
yeah, but I'm trying, and I'll be honest with you, it's been very difficult to find a house, and I think I may just stop for a while. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
'Cause
and as a realtor has been saying for the on our presentations over since we even started, is that the inventory is right now it's not very good.
No.
It's not a lot of inventory.
Mm-mm.
But it's not going to be like this all the time. It's going to change. But she said it could take you 2-3 months to find a home.
I've been looking since February,
Yeah.
and
So
I've bid on 4 properties, and nothing's been accepted.
yeah.
So, but thank you. I appreciate the
Yeah.
information.
It's not going to be like this all the time. It's going to change. But we
Thank
got to stay the course. It's going to
That's right.
happen. It's going to happen.
Thank you.
No problem.
I just put the consumer credit and budget counseling that Jesse mentioned in the chat and their phone number. They're on our website. So they're one of the free ones.
Yeah. They're really good.
But like Dorothy had asked, do you have to attend if you're looking to go to a different county, since our webinars are per county, just so you will know. the reason why we separated them by county, because some counties have their own DPA program as well that you can also sometimes couple with ours. And
Yeah.
that's why we did them per county, so we can go over those. And Jesse, I assume then Monmouth doesn't, or we just didn't have anyone that came up.
Monmouth, Ocean and Monmouth has one, but you can't utilize it with ours.
Okay, okay,
So you can
So
use
you can
their
use
down
it, yeah.
payment or you can use ours, but you can't use both.
okay,
Middlesex County has the American Dream Down Payment Initiative. You can use their $5,000 and our $10,000 if you purchase a home in Middlesex County. Places like Irvington has a $15,000 down payment assistance program. Trenton has a $20,000 down payment assistance program if you purchase in Trenton. So they're all incentives to get you to purchase in a certain place. But as I said earlier in my presentation, we don't care who they are as long as they take the third lien position. Some of them won't do that. They want the first lien position, and we, as a state agency, can't do that. We take the first and the second, and then they'd have to take the third lien possession on the property. And Ocean Inc. and theirs does not allow for that.
And does Mercer County have something as well, or not really?
Mercer County has a $20,000 down payment assist. Well, not Mercer County. Let me back up. The city of Trenton has a $20,000 down payment
Right,
assistance.
the
But
county
nothing
does
for
not.
Mercer County?
No, nothing as of right now from Mercer County.
Okay. What about Camden County?
Camden had my research for Camden. They had something that was done through a private institution. As of right now, they don't have anything. I implore people to utilize downpaymentresources.com
Okay.
and also go to the local municipality's website and click on their home ownership tab and see what incentives they might have for purchasing in that particular area.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Any other-
the what Jesse was just saying, the down payment resource site, I have it in the chat. I'm gonna put it in there again, just so it's at the bottom there. Yeah, so once you go to that website, you could search, where did I go? It says find down payment help. And then you basically can fill out where you're looking to buy, and they have helpful information there for you.
Yeah, Dorothy, the other thing, not to belabor the point, but what some of the realtors have suggested is that because the inventory is so tight right now for single family homes,
Right.
so they're saying there are a lot of condos and townhomes available that you can take advantage of, and it's better than renting. And at a later date, if you want to upgrade to a single family home, do that if that's your preference.
Yeah. I don't mind the town. I tried with townhomes too.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is hard
But
right
it's
now.
just been difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank
Any other
Oh, one-
questions?
I'm
Okay.
sorry, one more. In terms of working with banks, don't banks also have down payment assistance programs or not really?
Some do. We had one of the lenders on our page who had a down payment on our lender list who had their own down payment assistance program that you could couple with ours, but they're no longer one of our participating lenders, so I can't even refer you to that. But no one on the list as of right now. The lender that you're currently using, did you say Fulton?
Yes, Fulton.
Have you asked them, did they have anything?
I think they do something like 5,000.
Some is better than none.
Right.
All of it helps.
True. Okay.
All right. Anybody else has any questions?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can.
Hi,
Hi.
Adele Johnson. I'm from Tinton Falls, New Jersey, and I agree with Dorothy. I've been looking now for 2 years. I'm so like disgusted. I can't find anything right now. Excuse me, I have allergies too. I'm renting, and I'm renting. You guys get ready for this: $2,300 a month. I know I can pay a mortgage if I'm paying $2,300 a month. I live in Tinton Falls, and the townhouses out there, and can't find a house. I ride around some days, like when I'm off, and I like Tinton Falls. I'm originally from Neptune. I would even go back to Neptune, but there's no houses. I'm like looking. I literally ride around for hours looking. Right around hours for looking. I wouldn't mind a townhouse either, but to be in a townhouse, you're stuck there. They have rules there because I live in a townhouse now. The rules in the townhouse, you guys, are very, very strict. You can't do this, you can't do that. I want my own yard. I want to be able to have my own yard. And trust me, living in that townhouse is very difficult. The good thing about it is they shovel, they keep, you don't have to cut the grass, you don't have to do things like that. But
Yeah.
the rules are ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I just want to go. And I pay every month 22.80 a month. Plus I pay all of my utilities. I'm fortunate to have a decent job. I'm a 28-year veteran from the Army, and I do have my VA certificates. I'm just tired of renting. I need a house. I'm
Yeah.
so disgusted. I need a house.
Are you working with a realtor in particular?
I did a while ago, but I just gave up. It's become very disgusted. There's no houses out there. There's none. And I wouldn't like, they just build out in Tinton Falls, the new townhomes out there. And they're just like too out in the open for me. Then once again, I really want to get away from the townhomes because of the rules. No matter where you go, the townhomes are going to have rules.
Yeah.
So I want to go in a house, but no, not really. Haven't been working with the realtor, but I give myself one more year. I'm not going to pay almost $2,300 a month when if I'm paying it by myself. I'm single and I'm paying all of this by myself.
Yeah.
No one's helping me. No one's helping me. So if I can pay this, I definitely can pay a mortgage.
Right. And the realtors that we've been speaking to on the webinars all saying the same thing. I know they say we know it's difficult right now, but hang in there because it's not going to be like this. It's going to change, and we got to kind of weather the storm. The great thing is that the funding that we have and the programs that we have, they're not going anywhere at all. So when you need this funding, it's here.
Mhm,
You need a mortgage, it's here.
mhm.
We're an agency that generates our own income. We're not tied to the state budget at all. We generate our own income through bonds and tax credits.
Okay.
So the money is going to be here. We just got to wait for this market to shift so there's more inventory. And the other thing that they were telling us, and this is for edification of everybody on, one of the reasons why the market is the way it is because of COVID. There are folks who want to sell, but they got no place to go. They want to sell their home, but they got to go someplace too.
Right.
There's some folks who are just afraid to make any moves as of right now.
Mhm.
But when we get out from under this and everything starts to get back to some semblance of normality, we should be able to see some shift in the market. Hopefully that'll be sooner than later.
Okay, I have another question for you. So there are some houses in Tinton Falls, like I don't know if people walked away from them or not. How does this program work if there's a house that's in really bad condition? How does that work?
You talking about foreclosure?
I think they're foreclosures or they just people don't live there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But how does this work if the house is not in move-in condition? I mean,
Well, unfortunately for our programs right now, the house has to be move-in ready.
okay,
You have to move
okay,
in within a certain period of time, and it
okay,
can't have any major issues with
okay,
it.
okay,
But there are some lenders on our approved lender list through their own programs might provide that type of funding. We
okay,
don't do that.
okay.
Yeah. The other thing is uh, for the houses that are on the market, if you see any new construction or new developments going up,
Mm-hmm.
look at those as an option
Okay,
because you can utilize these funds to purchase new construction.
okay,
So if developers come in somewhere and they say these homes are going to be up in a year, you know, get on in there, get get pre-approved and get the process started, and you can utilize our down payment mortgage and our down payment assistance for that.
Okay, now how does this work with my VA loan? I mean, that's a VA certificate, I should say. How does this work with that?
Well, VA, the way it's underwritten, VAs you get 100% financing.
Yes, sir.
So it would work like any other program. It's just set that $10,000 that we give will be used towards any your down payment and closing costs for you.
Okay. So I can use the both of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try to get the ball rolling today
All
because
All right. Don't give up. Don't give up hope. Don't give up
All right.
hope.
that 2,300 is whipping me.
I hear you. I hear you. It's whipping me, and I ain't even living there.
Yes.
Ah.
Jesse, not that I want to see Adele keep renting, like she said, you want to get into a house, you could be paying a mortgage. But would the Jersey Housing Resource Center be helpful to her if I was to share that? To maybe find a more affordable rental unit?
Well, she likes where she's at. Right?
So you might not
In
be
Falls?
able to-
I like Tinton Falls. I just really do. Like I said, I'm from Neptune, so I'm just like right up the street from Tinton Falls, and I've been there since 2007 when I came off of active duty. It's safe. I'm a runner. I get to do all that with ease, and that would be the area that I would hope to buy in, and
Gotcha.
but it's hard though because it's nothing out there. They have a lot of new construction going up, but a lot of it are townhouses, and like I said, they're good and they're bad. I don't, this winter I didn't have to shovel snow. Any other winters I don't have to shovel snow. They put the mulch down. It's beautiful, but
Yeah.
it's just the rules. I have no privacy, and then what if you're stuck next to some neighbors? So you're
Right,
stuck
right.
next to some neighbors that
And that can happen in a regular house too. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
that
but
house,
yeah.
I don't like my neighbor.
Okay, but you know what though? But at least you're not like right next door to them.
True, you're
You
not sharing a
understand? So you're
wall.
not sharing a wall, and you're not sharing a walkway either.
Just
True.
put up a higher fence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, So
No, you're
like
right.
I'm just fed up, and tomorrow I'm gonna get back on, and I'm gonna start whatever I need to do to complete this program. I will, because I just can't see myself doing another year. Of
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
And if you need a realtor to help keep eye on the inventory for you and what you're specifically looking for, I can forward you some information on a realtor who can do that.
Please do. Please do.
And she'll put in the specific criteria on the MLS listing for what you're looking for. And if something pops up, she'll let you know immediately.
Okay, please do. Thank you so much.
All right.
Jesse, do you want me to put that in the chat right now?
Yeah, you want to put Chiquita's information in there?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Send us Satal on.
Yes, he is. I'm just copying this real quick. So I just put in Chiquita Pittman. She's the realtor. She was the one I was referring to, was on our Tuesday call for Middlesex. But feel free to reach out to her. She's great.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's no more questions for Jesse, we'll move on to our last speaker. If you think of questions later, feel free to email Jesse. But yes, you'll all get the email tomorrow. That'll have all these links that I had put in the chat. So I'm going to move on to Satal Shaw, and he is with Shaw Legal Law Firm. And I'm going to put his information in the chat now as well. Hey, Satal, how are you?
Hey, good evening, Cynthia, Jesse. How you guys doing?
Good, thanks for coming on.
Good evening, everyone. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Satal J. Shah. I'm the attorney from Edison, New Jersey. The best thing about buying a home is to know that you have a 3-day attorney review period. That's business days. Saturday, Sunday, 4th of July do not count. That means once a contract is signed, you're going to review it with your attorney. Your attorney is going to explain it to you and make changes for you. The seller's attorney is going to help their client, the sellers. The goal of attorney review is to agree to disagree and make it into a binding contract. That means once you agree to the seller's changes and you sign off, and the sellers agree to your attorney's changes and they sign off, it's a binding contract. What does that mean practically? Everybody knows the market is hot. Everybody knows right now the houses are flying off the shelf, just like grocery store groceries, really fast. Literally within the hour, it's done. If you like a house, you're fed up for a year. I think some of the audience said that she's been looking since February. Every one of my clients have been looking for houses for 4 months straight, getting nothing. When you finally found the house that you really like, he or she that finishes attorney review first wins the game. That means soon as you get the contract, review it with your attorney, you agree, you sign off, sellers agree, they sign off, it's yours. The longer you take to do that and sign off, the sellers can get more offers, which they're getting right now, and they're able to accept a higher offer and you're done. So the goal is practical advice to you today. If you like something, move quickly on attorney review. Answer your attorney's phone calls no matter how busy you are at work and get the job done. In the contract, usually you put $1,000 good faith deposit. Then you'll put an additional deposit. Every day I get asked, even today, just before this call, the client asked me, the second deposit, Mr. Shah, what can I get away with? Sellers always want the buyer to put more down. Buyers always want to put less. Typically, people put 2, 3, 5, 7, 10% down, 15 or 20. Typically 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 days after attorney review. But there's no textbook answer. Now, also in the contract, noteworthy is appliances. There's only a right to have a stove in a house. The seller by law cannot remove the stove. There's no fundamental right for a dishwasher, washer, dryer, even though my clients think there is, that's not. If you see appliances that are included, if you happen to see a brand new dishwasher, a brand new refrigerator, or something newer looking, maybe it looks pretty new, maybe a year old or 2 years old, I would take the 5 minutes in the contract, tell your agent, hey, I like the GE dishwasher. It looked new, that's included. Why? Just because you assume and you're excited when you're signing the contract and you happen to see new appliances, you are human just like me. I would assume they're included. But I've seen situations that 1972 Grandma Special starts showing up, and that refrigerator you think you're getting, you're not. It's going to be an old refrigerator. And you'll complain and say, but that's not what I saw. And they will argue, well, what you see doesn't mean what you get. Never assume. Take 2 minutes to write the details down. Next, you're going to do a home inspection. Your attorney is going to get a copy of the report. You're going to email him a list of repairs, and he's going to work with you to help you negotiate a credit or get the sellers to do the repairs. The number one question I get asked after I do home inspections, I don't like the house, I change my mind. After I joined the seminar with NJ MFA, I decided I don't want to live in Burlington County. I want to go to somewhere else, Essex County. Can I get out of the contract? If the sellers perform the major repairs, think about it. You really have no excuse because they're addressing the repairs. So I know what you're thinking out there. That's nice, but I don't want the house. You look clever enough. How do I get out of the contract? If the sellers do not perform all the major repairs, that's your excuse, we get out. But just remember what I said. The sellers always have a right to address the major repairs before you cancel the contract. That means if you just emotionally tell your attorney, cancel the contract, you will be challenged by the other side and they will remind me and say, Mr. Shah, you know we have a right to fix it before you cancel it. You don't want your deposit monies being held up. The next thing is when you're doing home inspections, it's very important to, when you're negotiating with the seller, it's important to know if they don't do the repairs, they may give you a credit. How do you negotiate a credit? You get an estimate. Let's say a plumbing repair, you get an estimate and the sellers offer you $75 credit at closing. But your estimate says it's $700. Obviously, 75 is not a reasonable number. But now you're educated. You have an estimate. So if you get 500, 600, you might call it a day and say it's close enough and try to close the deal. So getting an actual estimate is very helpful. Now, in the home inspection phase, the major repairs is defined in the contract. It's not what I think, it's not what your attorney thinks, and it's not what you think. Major repairs is heating, air conditioning, electrical, mold, termites, asbestos. Those are the items that are major. Mechanical systems, HVAC, there shouldn't be mold, asbestos. The roof should be intact. The structure should be intact. No foundation cracks, no mold, no leaks. The windows should be working. Those are major repairs. Now, if the sellers decide to do a few other repairs that are not major, your reply should be thank you. It's a Christmas gift. They didn't have to do it. And for some reason, people think that if you ask for minor repairs and the sellers say no, you can use that as an excuse to get out of the contract. No. As I alluded to earlier, if the seller does not address the major repairs, you have the right to cancel the contract. Your attorney will work with you on, you're going to be getting a mortgage commitment from your lender. Typically, the contract will give you 4 weeks to obtain it. Another friendly advice. This is not legal advice. This is friendly advice. The one thing you want to do when you're buying a house is to pay attention to the deadlines that your lawyer says. If your lawyer says home inspections are due in 14 days, your calendar should say 11. If somebody tells you the mortgage commitment is typically due in 4 weeks, your calendar says 3 weeks. Why do I say this? If you blow a deadline, you're not going to win with the lawyer. I know there's clients out there who think they can, they won't. You do not want to aggravate the lawyer, try to argue that you're not out of time. It's better to ask your attorney for an extension. Let me give you an example. Let's say home inspections. The home inspectors are very busy right now. It's COVID, it's a backlog. Some guys are sick. Maybe they got COVID. They can't do it in 14 days. You tell your attorney, wow, the guy is 5 days behind. We're not going to make it. Your attorney sends out a simple email saying, hey, I need 4 more days. The guy has got COVID or whatever the excuse is. Please give me an extension. Now you protected yourself. The attorney wrote an email for you. They can't come back at you. The clients who get into trouble, they don't pay attention. They're too busy. They blow the dates and they expect their attorney to be Superman and get them out of jams. The attorneys can be Superman and we can get you out of jams, but you're just making the attorney work harder for no reason. So you got to help them out by paying attention to the dates. Your attorney will review title work. Title work is, you want to make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. That is not your issue. Your attorneys will handle this professionally. It becomes your issue if you hire attorneys that just don't do real estate. There's a lot of detail when you do a closing. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me, hey, what do you charge? It's a simple closing. People don't understand a closing, whether I work on a $5 million home or I work on a $100,000 condo, the work is the same. I know that's hard to believe, but it is. There's a lot of detail. For example, in title work, when you sign a contract, we all make the assumption the seller that signed is the owner. I would think so too. Why would anybody sign? But title work will reveal if there's certain sellers that are not on the contract and they have to be. Typically, you have to pay off the seller's mortgage, water bills, sewer bills. Those are maybe obvious to people. Those are bills the seller has to pay before you close. An example of what's not obvious, child support. Let's say the seller is behind on child support and doesn't pay it and you close. That past arrears in child support is a lien on the property you are about to buy. In addition, the future next 12 months of payments is also an automatic lien. So you just want to make sure you're using real estate attorneys and not just attorneys that do divorce work that have no idea how to do a closing. It's not worth it. Now, your attorney is, I like to say, is your bodyguard, your personal bodyguard. Their job is to protect you, vet everybody, and working on a closing is a team-oriented approach. It's not one person. You have to be able to, the attorney has to be able to work with your lender, your home inspector, you, the client, Jesse, Cynthia, the real estate agent, everybody. The goal is to get to closing. So each person will work with your attorney will work with them. Let's make pretend your closing is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Your attorney would have already reached out to you today and told you how much money you have to bring, where you would go to the bank and get some funds for the closing for tomorrow. Prior to 2 o'clock tomorrow, you'd visit the property one last time. Why? You want to make sure there's no vandalism to the property. How do you know it's not been vandalized? How do you know somebody didn't steal something? How do you know a pipe didn't burst? How do you know there's no damage? You want to tell your attorney these problems before closing. Telling your attorney these stories after closing, guess who's responsible? You're the new owner. You're fixing it. That's the point of doing the walkthrough. For example, it was very hot today, right? 80 degrees, I think. Let's say you tested the air conditioning, it's not working. You would have told your attorney, hey, the AC doesn't work. Now we have to see what's wrong. Maybe it can be fixed. Maybe the HVAC technician says it's a $400 repair. I need Freon. Fine, they give you a credit for $400. We all move on with our lives. You're still happy in closing. What if the HVAC, this actually just happened to me last week, the HVAC actually broke on the day of the closing. The client did the walkthrough, and this other side was pressuring my client to close. I told my client, I said, this doesn't sound right. I don't think it's working. We held off. The HVAC technician came in, said the unit had to be replaced. It was a $3,000 repair. And I think the sellers knew there was something up with the AC. I can't prove it, but I don't know. My sixth sense seemed to work for me all the time. And the client was happy. We had to reschedule the closing. They had to provide a $3,000 credit and get it done. It's just maybe lucky that it broke on the day my client closed. If it broke the next day, that's just bad luck. And that happens to people and everybody, including me. But at least we got it resolved. The point of this, please look at the house before you close. Now, I'm going to save the best for last, which I think is the best. I save it for the end because I feel very strongly this will help you. And I believe personally, somebody will thank me later for this advice, as many have. Whenever you buy a house, the seller has to conduct an inspection before the buyer buys the house. The seller has to contact the township, pay a fee, and they do an inspection. Every town has either one or two inspections. One is the fire department, where they check the carbon monoxide and smoke detector. Simple. If it passes, they issue a certificate. Let's say that it doesn't pass. Somebody says the smoke alarm is not working, carbon monoxide detector. You have to fix it. Fire department comes back, signs off if it works. That's certificate number one. Certificate number two, called certificate of occupancy. That means a building department gets paid a fee. Seller arranges for this inspection. They come out, passes, they give it to you. Same concept. Fails, they tell you what repairs to do. You do them. You have to call them back. They re-inspect, and if it passes, they give you a certificate. This is the seller's obligation to give it to you. In certain situations, in bankrupt, foreclosed, and short sales, they will make the buyer do this. That's a different seminar, not this seminar. But 99%, the seller gives it to you. Every town has one inspection or both. You can go on Google. You can call code enforcement in any township. They will tell you. So for example, if you're buying in Edison, they require smoke detector and a certificate of occupancy. If you're buying in Franklin Township, only a smoke detector is required. If you're buying in Englewood, New Jersey, and Bergen County, only a CO is required. If you're buying in Perth Amboy, smoke detector certificate and CO. Everybody get the pattern? I'm not going to go through every town in America, but it's one or the other or both. Now, hang with me on this last point. Let's say you're excited and you saw the house today and you signed a contract. Percent of the people may wonder whether that finished basement's legal or not. The other half the population may happy-go-lucky, may not even give it a thought. There's no judgment here. You decide which group you're in. Now, let's say you ask your attorney and the other attorney asks, your attorney asks the seller's attorney, I would like to know if the finished basement is legal, because you want to make sure it's done with permission and the proper permits from the township. Let's say it's in a township where only a smoke detector is required, nothing else. The seller's attorney provides that to your attorney. That's the only certificate that's required. Now, this is what separates everyone. Your lawyer has two choices. Your lawyer can accept that certificate, give it to you, the matter ends. I don't blame anybody in the audience. It's not your profession. It's not your knowledge. It's not your wisdom. You might accept that, which you should, because you don't know any better, and you move on. Or the attorney can tell the other attorney, thank you for the certificate. This is not enough. I need permits for the basement. Let's go with option number one. You got the smoke detector certificate. You relied on it, which is not your fault, and you closed. Fast forward 3 years later. The new buyer is very excited about the finished basement. They like it. They want to buy it from you. They like it so much, they see your flat screen TV on the basement wall and they say, can you please include that with the contract? You're so excited to sell the house, you say, you can have the TV, I'm out of here. Now, this buyer asks, is the basement legal? You provide him with the smoke detector certificate, which you received when you closed. However, this buyer is much more smarter than you, and many are. They say, this is not enough, I want to see the permit. You say, permit what? The buyer calls the township and finds out there's no permit. That means the basement was not done legally. They will ask you now to legitimize the basement. You will argue, what does that mean? Legitimize means the township can say there's electrical work done, get an electrical contractor, electrician, to certify the work is done correctly. They may ask a plumber to do it for the bathroom. They may ask for architectural drawings, and I assure you legal fees are very expensive by the hour. Now, that is a nice scenario. You haven't asked me, certain towns are very strict. I've seen where the towns make the person rip the walls out of the basement finished from the studs completely. So you don't even have a choice now. So you know the new buyer is going to say, I just paid you, gave you what you wanted in the contract. Now it's no finished basement. I don't think the buyer is going to pay the same price, which is what you came up with. Now, having said that, how do you protect your interest? You'll probably argue you bought the house like this. I didn't do anything wrong. That defense works in third grade. It won't work here. You're on the hook for this. Now, how do you save this aggravation? How do you save your money? And how can you avoid this? Generally speaking, I say this tongue in cheek, but I'm really honest. It's against my interest in telling you how to do it, because we make really good money fixing these problems for clients, actually tons of money, to be honest. But there is a way to fix this. If you buy a house anywhere in New Jersey, you can do three things. Number one, you can complete what's called an Open Records Public Act form. Open Records Public Act form. It's a free form. You fill it out, doesn't cost any money, and by law, the township has to share whatever's in their file with you. You don't have to be the owner. Anybody in America can file for it and get it. I'm not saying the township has any information, but whatever they do, they will give it to you. Why is that important? When you sign that contract and the seller boasts, oh, it's a finished basement and a brand new roof, and the township has no records of the permit for either one, I hope today that for my goal, you learn something in the seminar from me. That means if there's no permit, you will ask your attorney to tell the seller to get it, because you do not want to do this on your watch after the closing, because it's your issue. The point is to tell the seller to do this before the closing. Now, I would do a second thing. The old-fashioned way, I would call code enforcement in any township. I would call them up and ask him, can you please tell me if there's any permits that are open? Just listen to the answer to the question. Can you tell me if there are any permits that are open? Whatever he says, note it, because whatever's open, you want to tell the seller to close it before closing on their watch. That's the theme here, because after the closing, any mistakes made, you are absorbing it. That's why I always say, call the township. And for those of you who don't know, there's a law in every town. if they make a mistake in the open permits or they tell you something is closed and it's really open, there's a law. You got to love this law. Number one law is you can't sue the township. They got sovereign immunity. That means if they make a mistake, you have to bear the brunt. That's why I always tell people, everybody likes to text, tweet, not talk to anybody. Pick up the phone and call. And the second thing I would like to say is not only you call them, you do the Open Records Public Act and you become a detective. So when your home inspector says, hey, is there a roof for this? Is there a permit for the roof? The AC, the hot water tank? Your light should go off and say, these are all new things. The permits should match. If they match, you're good to go. I wish everybody lots of luck. Again, I'm Satal J. Shah in Edison. We do closings in all 26 counties. Our associates and I travel anywhere. So wherever you are in the audience, you shouldn't feel like, oh, he's in Edison or he's there. We do it everywhere. And if you have any questions, please give me a call. The best way is to email us to talk or set up a time. Cynthia has forwarded to you information on Attorney Shah's Guide to Buying Your First Home. I'm proud to say that we get the most feedback on that brochure. That's the most downloaded thing off my website. Last count, about 6.4 million web hits. It's been on HGTV several times. For those of you who want to follow us on promotions and updates on legal advice, I know we're going to have a thing on Instagram. What does as is mean? And are you truly buying as is? So follow us on Instagram for next week for answers to those questions at ShahLegal_COM. That's ShahLegal_@COM. I wish everybody lots of luck and happiness and good luck to everybody. And like I said, if you need questions, if you have questions, just email us and set up a time and we can try to answer them and work with you. God bless everybody. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much, Satal. Always such great information.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Satal? Anything at all? Anything?
Yes, hi, this is Dorothy. I have a question.
Sure, Dorothy.
So this was very informative. Thank you.
Great.
I was interviewing, quote unquote, an attorney, and they had said that they also during the I guess it's the title search, they also check to see if you have any like liens or stuff on you, like the buyer. Is that correct? Or not liens, but if you have judgments or anything like that on you, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. When you do a title search, they have to do it on both sides, the seller and the buyer. The reason they do it on the sale side is because you don't want to lien on the house or condo townhouse that you're buying. They have to do it on the buyer side because the bank is going to require it. Because think about it, the bank is just about to loan you money. If there's a lawsuit or a lien on a credit report, you just got sued by DMV, you would just have a $1 million judgment. The bank's going to think three times before they give you money. And I can tell you what they're going to say to you is you have to clear, you won't be closing anytime soon. You're going to have to pay off those judgments, wait for it to clear up on your credit report. And sometimes, many times, people don't even know they have a judgment. Not everything shows up on a credit report. That's part of the problem. So yes, to answer your question in short, they will run them against the buyer.
So then my next question is, how would you then get that information? Just how can you just find out if you're clear before you start this process?
Well, I mean, first thing you could do is you're obviously running a credit report with your
Of
lender,
course.
right? That would be step one.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you could call the attorney to run just some basic judgment searches.
Okay.
I mean, it won't cost that much money, maybe $100 worth of searches if you needed to. They're called lower and upper court searches.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Good question. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Yeah, I don't think we've had that one yet. Anyone else have questions for Satal? Anything at all? Or Jesse? Anything? I think we're good. So I put in the chat just now the link to.
And I had one question for Natal.
Sure.
Natal, you said that was lower and upper.
Court searches.
Yeah,
Court
lower
searches?
and upper court. That's just a fancy way of saying upper court is like state judgments.
Mhm.
and lower court or smaller civil judgments, those probably get it. Sometimes you have to run UCC searches, but I don't think you do. I think upper and lower is enough for the client.
Gotcha.
And they're inexpensive. I think you could probably do them in $100.
Okay. So I was saying there's a link in the chat that's for our YouTube channel. And like I said early on, you'll also get that in the email tomorrow, but that's where this recorded webinar will go. And that's where you can also find our previously recorded webinars. And then the other link is if you wanted to attend another one, we are doing these till mid-June. Or if you know someone else that would like to attend, I put a link there for our website, and that's where our upcoming webinars, the links are where you can register for those. But if there's no other
Cynthia?
questions, yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Dorothy,
have
go
one
ahead.
more question.
Sure.
What should be like, just in terms of getting an average, like what should the average fee be for an attorney to hire an attorney for the home buying process?
You'll run the gamut. I mean, really, you could see anywhere, I would say, between 900 to even about 1,700, 1,800. I've seen now lately in this pandemic up to $2,000. You'll find anybody in that range. The only advice that I would give you is somebody's charging 1,200 or 1,500, 200-300 here or there. I think the better question also to ask in that range is you want somebody with the experience, because the experience is priceless. Because when the attorney's been in those difficult situations, they will know how to guide you out of it.
Right, that makes sense.
The cheapest way, efficient way, maybe not the efficient way out of it.
Right.
But the experience, I think, will matter. And for those of you who are daring to buy a short sale, like I said, that's a different seminar. Jesse will tell you, or bankrupt or foreclosed properties. That really has a lot of complexities. The normal real estate lawyer who doesn't do it day in and day out, that's the same thing. You want to make sure the attorney has the experience, because the title work is much more complicated in foreclosed properties. And it takes a level of analysis to make sure there's no liens. And there's very experienced attorneys that miss it when they're reviewing the title work. So the name of the game is you want to just get a referral for somebody and just make sure that they have a decent amount of experience. That'll suit you well.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question, Adele Johnson, for Mrs. Satal. So do you cover like foreclosures and things like that? You're saying an experienced attorney. Are you experienced in that field as well?
Yeah, we do a lot of short sales. We do a lot of distressed debt, bankrupt properties, and foreclosed properties. I mean, my firm, myself, I probably handle about 500 of those a year, and that's just that alone.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and references can be provided for sure.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions before we sign off? No? All right, well, I want to thank Jesse and Satal for providing a ton of information tonight. That was great. And thank you everyone for coming on. We appreciate it. But again, contact us if you have questions, and look for that email that'll come probably about tomorrow afternoon. Just look at your spam email too, to make sure you get it. But have a great night, everyone, and stay
Okay.
safe.
All
Thank
right.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you again.
You're
Good night.
welcome. Thank you.
Take care now.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you,
Bye.
Cynthia. Jesse,
Sure, thank you.
you got it. No problem.
Good night, Jess.
Good night.